G'day. My name's Alan Gamble. Welcome to another episode of Aussie Box Office Charts. Apologise if I sound a little bit under the weather. I'm still recovering from surgery late last week. But let's get into the top 10 for this week. Weekend 22, our top 3 stay the same. Lilo and Stitch still holds number 1 with $6.3 million. Weekend 2 dropping just 31%. For a current total of $17.1 million. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, holds second spot with $3.4 million as well, second week of release, dropping at 32%, for a current total of $16.6 million. Final Destination Bloodlines holds third position with $835,000 after weekend 3, dropping another 35%, for a current total of just over $6 million. Bring Her Back, the latest Aussie horror movie from the creators of Talk to Me, brings in $827,000 on its opening weekend for a current total of just over $900,000, which is just a little bit higher than the previous Talk to Me did, but Talk to Me had really good word of mouth and really good legs. I'll be watching this one in future to see what happens with it. And then in number 5, we have Peppa Meets the Baby Cinema Experience, which is a Peppa the Pig, family-friendly, 10 episodes strung together, family experience. So that brought in $560,000 to take 5th spot. Moving on to 6 through 10. At number 6, we have The Fahican Scheme opening at number 6 with $392,000 for a current total of just under $400,000. That is the latest Wes Anderson movie. We'll check that a little bit later. Thunderbolts moves down to number 7 with another $380,000 after 5 weeks of release, dropping 41% for a current total of $13.5 million. Sinners moves to 8 with another $285,000 after 7 weeks of release, dropping just another 36% for a current total of $10.8 million. Sankan Sankani 2, a Punjabi language romantic comedy about a man with 2 wives attempting to marry a third from over in India. And The Salt Path moves down to number 10 with $250,000 after 3 weeks of release, dropping 21% with a current total of $1.6 million. Taking an updated look at the Disney live-action remake chart. This is for their total gross, not opening weekend, since Lilo and Stitch has moved into week number 2. So we can see now it is tracking pretty well, right in the mid-pack after 2 weeks of release. So after 2 weeks of release, it is ahead of Maleficent, Dumbo, Cruella, Snow White from 2025, the Alice Through the Looking Glass, Christopher Robin and Pete's Dragon. It's ahead of those after 2 weeks. So I expect it to keep moving up this chart pretty quickly, easily getting to that mid-20s, maybe 27, maybe Cinderella level, maybe Mufasa level as we go along. But we'll keep an eye on it because this is a much better story for Disney than Snow White. Speaking of week number 2s, let's look at Mission Impossible. So The Final Reckoning is looking fairly well in line with the rest of the Mission Impossible franchise, outside of the first 2, which, if we adjust for inflation, send a pretty clear picture of, okay, they've all been fairly rock-solid performers. Nothing smash hit, nothing too bad, but Mission Impossible in 96 and Mission Impossible 2 did gangbusters. But Mission Impossible 2 was not well regarded, hence the damage, everything after that. But you can see there with Ghost Protocol, which was a lot better, it started to build up again. And we got to Fallout. So that's how Mission Impossible look with The Final Reckoning so far. I don't think it should struggle too far to get well in line with Rogue Nation, Fallout, and Dead Reckoning Part 1, but we'll see how it goes. With The Fahican Scheme opening, let's have a look at Wes Anderson openings in Australia. Going back to 2005, you can see here they're all around that $400,000 to $500,000 opening, with the exception of Grand Budapest Hotel in 2014, which opened to $1.8 million, which is so much higher than everything else he's ever had released in Australia. That said, The French Dispatch and Asteroid City I both saw opening weekend. The Fahican Scheme I haven't seen yet because of surgery, but I am going to try and catch that this upcoming weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's nothing catastrophic. It's fairly well in line. Wes Anderson tends to be a bit of a niche director who has his fans. People that like his movies and go and see his movies, and there's about 400,000 to 500,000 of them in Australia. And looking at the 2025 top 10 for the Australian box office, we do have some movement on this chart going down this week. A Minecraft movie in Paddington in Peru stay at 1 and 2 at $56.1 million and $17.7 million, although I'm not sure how long Paddington's got to stay in number 2. Lilo and Stitch moves up to 3rd position with $17.1 million, closely followed by Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning at $16.6 million. Both of those two moving up knocks Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy down to 5th with $16.5 million, Captain America: Brave New World down to 6th with $13.8 million, Thunderbolts down to 7th at $13.5 million. Can it beat Captain America? I put my hat on the line saying it was going to beat Captain America: Brave New World. It's struggling to get there, which surprised me. But anyway, Sinners moves down to number 8 with $10.8 million. Snow White and Conclave stay at number 9 and 10, respectively, at $9.1 and $8.7 million. Moving on to what's coming up this week. 5th of June, 2025, wide release sees The World of John Wick Ballerina. That's its official title. Most people will call it Ballerina. The latest from the John Wick saga, directed by Len Wiseman and written by Shay Hattan, starring Anna de Armas, Angelica Hudson, and Norman Reedus. Also, Karate Kid Legends, the latest iteration of the Karate Kid franchise, resulting from the success of the Netflix series, starring Ben Wang, Jackie Chan, and Ralph Macchio. Not a franchise I've ever been massively into, but given the average reviews for this one, I'll probably skip it. But if you're a fan, this one might be for you. We also get The Ritual, a new horror movie about priests, this time with 2 of them, with Al Pacino and Dan Stevens, alongside Ashley Greene, written and directed by David Middell. And lastly, in limited release, The Great Lillian Hall, directed by Michael Christopher, starring Jessica Lange, Kathy Bates, Pierce Brosnan, about a Broadway actress starting to slip and lose what she loves most in Broadway acting, with both external and internal factors coming into play. Across on streaming on the 6th of June, 2025, on Disney Plus/Hulu, depending in Australia, it varies sometimes, we have the new movie Predator: Killer of Killers, an anthology animated movie directed by Dan Trachtenberg before Predator Badlands. I'm very keen on this one, can't wait to catch it. We also have a new miniseries over on Netflix, The Survivors, a mystery drama series about the death of a young woman in a small seaside town. Continuing on Netflix, we also get the miniseries Mercy for None, a new Korean revenge drama about an ex-gang member returning home to find the truth of his brother's death. I'm sure it will be bloody. In returning series, on Netflix, we get Ginny and Georgia returning for season 3. That is on the 5th of June, I believe. And on USA/9, I think gets it in Australia, the 9 streaming network, season 4 of Resident Alien returns. So I caught the first season and really liked it, but I never finished it off, so maybe I'll go back to it. Only 4 movies watched for this week's ILM Cinechums Movie Challenge due to me spending a few days in hospital, and the movies I saw in hospital did not count for the challenge. But let's dive into what I did watch in this, in my opinion, fairly restrictive challenge this week. First up was a rewatch of one of my favourite movies of all time, 2015's The Martian, with the extended edition. Directed by Ridley Scott and written by Drew Goddard, based on the novel by Andy Weir and starring Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, Jeff Daniels, Sean Bean, Kate Mara, and Sebastian Stan. Not too much more to say about this one. I absolutely love this movie. I could rewatch it every few years, and I often do. Although this was the first time of watching the extended cut, which I really liked, with adding a bit more to Donald Glover's character with parts of the extended cut, which was great. Next was a movie I owned on DVD but had never actually watched. Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World from 2003. directed by Peter Weir, starring Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany. A pretty interesting and incredibly well shot movie about naval combat during the Napoleonic Wars. Also a movie that held up really well due to its high budget of the time and its massive amount of practical effects. Really good movie, well deserving of all the awards that it picked up. Absolutely check it out if you haven't, although I think I was the only one that hasn't watched this movie. Next was from 2024 with Blitz, written and directed by Steve McQueen, starring Elliot Heffernan in his first credited role and Saoirse Ronan. I feel like this movie had way too many ideas and not enough focus. It really wanted to address things like racism during World War II London, crime and mental health of the time, government inefficiencies and bureaucracies costing lives, but without enough focus given to anyone in particular to make their point. But obvious credit to Heffernan, with the first credited role, did amazing work. Lastly was a rewatch from The Creator from 2023, directed by Gareth Edwards and starring John David Washington, Madeleine Voies, and Gemma Chan. A movie that was kind of mixed review-wise when it released in 2023, but I always really liked it. A solid mid-budget sci-fi with great action effects and no comic book superheroes. It's a rare thing in this age because when people talk sci-fi, big budget Hollywood sci-fi, it's always superheroes. This one wasn't, and I give it so much praise for that. Achieving the effects that it did on the budget that it had as well, great little movie. This week's Cinechums Movie Challenge is up for the periodic table. So, things like Goldfinger, Silver Linings Playbook, The Iron Giant, Mercury Rising, The Neon Demon, or we can go a bit more wide and a bit more experimental in how we make those connections. But we have Gold and Goldfinger, Pirates of Silicon Valley, which is a great movie, Oxygen, which is one of my favorites, as with Nickel Boys. So that's what's on the list. Let's have a look at my shortlist, which includes things like Max Steel, Metal Lords, Tetsuo the Iron Man, a bunch of Neon releases as a distributor. So we have things like Apollo 11, 2073, La Chimera, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. We've also got Arsenic and Old Lace, or Altered Carbon, resleeved. So we've got a few examples and we'll see how we go. That is it for me this week. Hopefully a short and sweet episode, but I am going to try and catch, obviously, John Wick Ballerina this weekend. I'm also going to try and catch The Fahican Scheme, if my body can take going to 2 movies this weekend. Otherwise, that's it for me. Have a good one, watch more movies, and I will see you next time. Bye!